Hello everyone. Welcome back to Eating Well During COVID-19 Part 2. I'm Serena Benally, registered dietitian and health promotion specialist with CFB Edmonton. Say hello in the comments. Let me know you're here. Hello. So if you did miss Part 1, I am going to share a link in the chat right away. Hi Sue. Hi Lori. Hi everyone. So we're gonna get started right away. Hi, Michelle. Okay, so here is the link for part 1. Hello, Colorado Springs. In case you missed the first one, or if you just want to see it again, I just posted the link right there in the chat. Okay, so let's get started. Just some logistics first. Afternoon from Moose Jaw. Hi, everyone. So the presentation you're about to view is the intellectual property of D&D. Any reproduction or retransmission of the slides contained in this presentation is strictly forbidden. Some of the topics discussed in the webinar may be of sensitive nature and not appropriate for children. We ask for parental discretion. Please understand that people's stories are theirs alone to tell, and anything that is shared by participants in this webinar is not to be discussed outside the webinar. So I won't be activating your guys' cameras or mics, but the chat is for you guys to discuss and ask questions. So the webinar is being recorded and will be available for viewing later on the calfconnection.ca. Though active participation is encouraged, you're more than welcome to just simply enjoy the show. Perfect. Great. Hi, everyone. So as we get started, I'm going to expand the presentation slides so you won't see me, but I will still be here. So got more access to that. So I'd love to get to know you guys more before we get started. So we're going to have our first poll questions. We're going to have a few of these throughout the webinar. So first one, what is your affiliation with the CAF community? So please note that any identifying information is removed to poll responses prior to analysis. Oh, great, we got quite a variety. Great, so happy you guys could make it today. So I am going to do a quick review of what we just discussed last time, just some key points. So we discussed diet and immune system, grocery shopping, and food safety. So when we talked about diet, nutrition, and immunity, I emphasized that there is no one food or supplement that can prevent illness, but you can eat in a way to support your immune system. So we did spend some time doing some myth busting and how to spot misinformation. We talked about the importance of getting a variety of foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, because when I did highlight those key nutrients in immunity, what we really noticed that they come from a variety of food. We also discussed different things you can do to support your immune system. So physical activity, don't smoke, getting adequate sleep, minimizing stress, washing your hands often, following Canada's low-risk drinking guidelines, and of course, participating in self-care, whatever that looks like for you. So in regards to food safety, we discussed how food does not seem to be a likely source or route of transmission of COVID-19, but we always want to be proactive in food safety and of course take all precautions. So washing your hands before and after handling food, avoiding cross-contamination, and of course washing your produce. So we spent some time going over grocery shopping. We kind of did a virtual tour where we kind of did the steps that you would take going to a grocery store. We highlighted keeping yourself, the store workers, and other shoppers safe. That's okay, Randy. We're just doing a review of what we discussed last time. We also discussed, that includes keeping your distance from individuals, using available hand sanitizer and wipes at the store entrance. And we also discussed purchasing longer shelf life items, so like legumes, grains, longer lasting produce. And that really brings us in today's segment. So today, we're going to be talking about cooking with longer shelf life foods. I'm going to share with you some tips and tricks about that. And then also talk about, I'm going to give you some resources. So I'm going to give you some websites. I'm going to add some links in with some great digital recipes so you can go and explore things, try out new recipes that are inspiring to you. And then we're going to talk about tips for eating well while at home, like asking you what you guys are currently doing. And, as we navigate through COVID-19, we're spending a lot more time at home, which is potentially changing our eating patterns as well as our access to food. So, before we were limited to what we could eat while we were at work. We packed our lunch bags and that would be it. Now we're, not too far from our fridge all day. So cooking with longer shelf life foods. So maybe you loaded up on more than a few cans of beans and frozen veggies, or maybe you bought a lot more than normal. And now you're wondering, what are you going to do with all these items without getting sick of the same meal? So I have another poll question for you. Are you wondering what you're going to be doing with all your canned goods? Yes? No? What canned goods? Maybe you saw those empty shelves and you don't know what the hype was all about. Great, so some variety, some yes, some what canned goods, some no's. The great thing about today is it will be beneficial whether or not you did purchase those extra canned items, because these are really great nutritious food items that we're going to be talking about that you can incorporate into your meals regardless. So first things first, what we want to do is organize our pantry. So see what you have working with. If you've ever found something in your pantry that was a year or two expired, maybe this is definitely for you then. So when it comes to organizing our pantry, we're doing this in a way to minimize food waste and use the items that we have. So chicken lips, Jonathan, not sure what you mean by that in the comments. So first thing first, you want to separate or combine similar items. So put all carbs, protein sources, sauces, veggies together. If you're going to be combining certain things, for instance, if you only use certain ingredients together, combine those together. For instance, the chili, you can put those together. So organize your pantry in a way that is easier access to the items that you use. So the things that you use more often, keep them to the front, to the side, so you have easy access to them. There's a caveat to this, however. Perhaps, if you put all the things that you use often at the front, maybe you're going to forget about those other items in the back. So I encourage you to kind of play with this and see what works for you. So for instance, a lot of people like putting the easier access items at the front that they use more often, but for me, I actually put them at the back because I know that they're there and I can reach for them, whereas the other stuff I want to use up, so I put them more at the front. So organize it in a way that works for you. So check the dates in the FIFO method. So FIFO, first in, first out method. So look at the dates. Sometimes I just use a marker. Oh, now I know what you mean with the chicken lips. I see it in the picture. Okay, yeah, that was still running in the back of my mind. I'm like, what? Thank you, Jessica. I'm like, what did he mean by that? Yeah, you get what you can with stock-free images, right? You don't want to be copywriting. Yeah, no chicken lips in this. Thanks for that, Jess, pointing that out. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so dates, FIFO, of course. So another thing I want to introduce you is pantry basics, and this is one of my favorite things. So your pantry basics is a list of foods that you always have, and from them can make delicious, nutritious meals. Essentially, it's your go-to items you use to make healthy, nutritious meals. So this is a great way to kind of develop your grocery list or kind of always have in mind. So for instance, my pantry basics includes several grains: quinoa, bulgur, rice, chickpeas, lentils, peanut butter, sesame oil, feta, tomato paste, and some vegetables. So the go-tos are zucchini, carrots, broccoli. And from that list, I know I can make, off the top of my head, 3 nutritious meals that I love, enjoy, and provide a variety. For instance, I do a quinoa lentil salad that I love. I do a stir fry where I'll take the vegetables, saute them, add a tomato sauce and some lentils, and a Buddha bowl. And we'll get into Buddha bowls shortly. So my encouragement is, when you think about your pantry basic, is to think, what are my nutritious go-to meals? Or what do you want them to be? What do you want to start playing with? And kind of create a list from that. And as time goes on, this will evolve. You'll add more food items, etc. So I'm not much of a meal planner. I don't plan out all the meals of my weeks typically. Surprising because I'm a dietitian. However, what I do is I have my pantry basics, right? So that's kind of my own meal planning, because I know from that what I'm going to be cooking, the leftovers, etc. So we're going to talk about legumes, nutrition powerhouses. I read an news article when COVID first started happening. I was trying to locate it again because it was a percentage of sales increase in legumes since COVID. So don't quote me, but it was like hundreds of increase since COVID-19. So when we're talking about legumes, we're talking about lentils, split peas, chickpeas, kidney beans, black beans. So these are all super nutritious and contain a wide variety of nutrients. Legumes are rich in protein, making them a great substitute for meat. They're also high in fiber, complex carbs, B vitamins, phosphorus, zinc, and also a good source of disease-fighting antioxidants. They're also economical, so helping you save money on groceries, something we all want to do. And research shows that eating legumes regularly can help lower your risk of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and cancer. And also, I want to bring this back to the food guide. So when we looked at the food guide, when we saw those protein sources, there were lots of legumes, right? Really expanding what we consider protein foods. So proteins are some of the most versatile foods, and I'm going to show you how versatile they are. So I do want to share another resource with you. I'm just going to put it in the link right now. So this is Pulse Canada. So they have several digital recipe books. There's also one called Cooking with Pulses. It's a phenomenal one-on-one 101 on the different kinds of pulses and how to cook from them when they're dry, they need to be soaked, etc. It's a great resource. So canned pulses or legumes are convenient because they're already cooked, ready to use. And yes, great with canned items. You want to look for, the no salt added. So that's the one thing when you do buy in cans sometimes, is there's going to be that sodium. So you can always look for low sodium. There's that resource for you. So some things that we can do. So what's so great and versatile about legumes is you can literally just add them to things. You just add them. They add volume, they add nutrition, they add texture, they add taste. So you can add them to a saucy stir fry. So that's what I did last night. Last night I had some red cabbage and carrots, some of those longer lasting produce. And so I added that. So that was great. So you can add them to soups. This is great. Add more texture, add more fullness to it. You can add a variety of legumes when making a chili. People often stick to their one bean, but you can add variety. It's great to incorporate this into ground meat. So you get to stretch out that meat, how much you're going to make from it, because some of the volume is being taken up from the lentils. So you can do this with meatballs. You can do it with burgers while you're a lot of barbecuing right now. Add it to spaghetti sauce, quesadilla filling. Also, you can extend casserole dishes by adding beans and lentils. You know, sometimes maybe there's just not enough to make a full meal out of it. You like a little more, and add it. Maria made taco meat and did half ground chicken, half lentils. Delicious. Yeah, that's great. See, there's so much that you can do with them. You're saving money. You're getting more out of it, which is great. Also, you can throw some in some baking. I caution you with how much you add, but one of my favorite muffins is the Morning Glory muffin. It's kind of like a carrot cake kind of muffin. So I add in a good third of a cup into my muffins. So I'm going to share with you guys another link here. So this is lentils.org. So this is a phenomenal resource. They have over 20 different digital recipe books, lots of different themes. I'm sure you'll find something that resonates with you. They have Mediterranean, modern comfort food, slow cooker food, lots of different things. So you can also add chickpeas to salads, whole grain dishes. We talked about cooking with a variety of grains, you know, and adding chickpeas to salads in them would be phenomenal. Using it as a spread on sandwiches such as hummus. Making cooked beans or green lentils in an omelet. That's a great one. So I don't know if you guys have heard about those, making the omelet in the muffin tins. I don't have social media, so I'm always a little bit behind on the on the waves of information. But I did that a couple years ago, and it's great because you can just add some lentils in them, put them in the oven. They're great to go. Yes, good, and yeah, I'm glad you guys like the links. Those are great links. So yeah. Crispy chickpeas. Has anyone ever experimented with crispy chickpeas? I absolutely love them. They're great, they're versatile. You just put some oil and you get to experiment with different kind of spices. So I'll just replace this as my protein source. I tried and failed with crispy chickpeas. Maria, I hope you are inspired to try again. In those resources, in the pulses one, there is a recipe for it. But generally, you know, you rinse them, way too much vinegar. When I tried to salt and vinegar. Oh, okay. Well, at least you know where your error was. So yeah, so I love putting them into bowls. You can even eat them as a snack. Chocolate chickpea cookies, delicious. Yeah, you can also add them to salsa. And of course, with like burritos and tacos. I think someone had just mentioned that they did that. Other thing like stuffed peppers. So it's just such a great way when we think about legumes, is that they're just really best bites. And by best bites, I mean they're packed full of nutrition and they add a lot to what you're eating. So it's great. So puree pulse. So puree is another way to eat sauces. So you can use them as a toast topper. So if you love your avocado toast, try some as a base. You know, it'd be a great option. Baking, pureeing. So generally with pureeing, for every 1 cup of cooked pulses, it's about a 1/4 cup of water. So I use it in baking. In university, part of my degree, we had a cooking class. We all made brownies, and we each had a variation of the brownie mix. So generally with cooking, you can replace up to half the fat with pureed pulse puree. So then all the brownies were laid out. We weren't told which is which, and we all voted on our favorite one. Surprisingly, my favorite one was actually the one that had half of the puree pulse. So it's a nice way to be cooking, to add in just some more bites. But I do caution you to the health halo that you think it might be having. I'll give my friend as an example. She came over, I made some brownies, and she's like, oh, I am not eating those. I'm like, oh, okay. And she asked me what was in them. I said, oh, you know, with other ingredients, and it's like, oh, and I put some pureed beans in. She's like, oh, well, then I'm definitely going to eat some. And then she ended up eating too. So just keep that in mind. We eat like brownies, things like that for pleasure and enjoyment. So just to keep that in mind. It's always nice to add a little extra nutrition punch, however. So bootables, who currently makes bootables or has heard of bootables? Quite popular on menus. In our last session, we discussed some of the longer shelf. Never heard of them? Great. Great to be the first one to introduce you to them. Yeah, so in our last session, we talked about those longer shelf life produce. So those include things like root vegetables, carrots, potatoes, and other things like that. So bootables are a great way to incorporate your produce. So, and clean out your crisper, really. So the term bootable, I believe, comes from the Buddhist concept of balance. So a balanced life, and now a balanced bowl. So to make your bootable, you need a grain, a veggie, and a sauce. So the one on my right, this is the first bootable I ever learned to make. It's still one of my favorites. So you can't see it. There's actually a bed of rice as the base. And then I made the crispy chickpeas, some carrots, cabbage, broccoli, and red pepper. And then there's a sauce in the middle. It's a peanut sauce. I love the peanut butter sauce. It's 3 ingredients. It's peanut butter, sriracha sauce, and sesame oil. I don't have the recipe off my head. I just kind of mix, taste, and then see what tastes good. And of course, water to thin it out. But it's super nourishing. It's so yummy. It's just a great variety to change it up. So the one on the left is another variation. Sometimes I'll do a bed of spinach before the grain just to add some more nutrition punch and some texture to it. So it's spinach, quinoa, the crispy chickpeas, some sweet potatoes, zucchini, and red cabbage. And for that one, I did a homemade tahini. So these are just some great alternatives for you to do. It's also great for kids because they get to be a little creative, design their own plate. They look beautiful, so they're fun. And also, if you have a busy week, this is something great to prepare. So generally, I will cut up every single one of the vegetables and put them in their own separate container. So when it's time to eat, you just bring out all the containers and you build your bootable. So tips for eating well at home. So staying at home during COVID-19 is challenging for a lot of people. There could be some increased anxiousness, boredom, and it can cause people to abandon their healthy eating intentions and snack on anything and everything. Plus, like I said, being so close to your fridge all day doesn't help. So I want to ask you guys in the chat, what are you currently doing to eat well at home? Or are you having challenges and that's why you're here? Challenges, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely challenging. We do definitely want to give ourselves hummus and veggies. Yeah, it's another great option. We do definitely want to extend ourselves some self-compassion. These are really unprecedented times, and it takes time to establish our new normal. Okay, there's so much information out there about what healthy is. Yeah, and healthy looks different for everybody. It's healthy for me. We all have our own personal tweaks. Sue trying to improve, attending webinars. Perfect. Sounds, thank you. Ben, thank you. Yeah, hummus as a base for salad dressing. Phenomenal. Great, so I'm going to give you some tips right now. I also want to emphasize again the self-compassion. I'm a huge advocate for that. We're much better able to change and move forward in a way when we're not so hard on ourselves, extending ourselves the same self-compassion that you would for your best friend, or someone that you really care about. Okay. Yeah, and this bowl actually also looks delicious. I'm actually planning to try something similar to it this week or next time I go get some groceries. So first thing first for tips is making a schedule and planning your meals. A lot of us are spending more time at home and we don't really know what to do with our time. We have this, freedom now in our schedule to eat when we want to eat, but it can be challenging. So if you were eating, your 3 meals at your scheduled times and had a snack integrated into your day, incorporate that now into your home life. Find what works for you. But having a structure in your day can really add some stability to how you feel and how you really carry yourself through the rest of your day. So eat breakfast in general, or if you have other people, eat breakfast together. So it's a great way to connect with your family and set out your plans and intention for the day. What's everyone going to be working on today? And just connecting. Setting that out. This is an opportunity. Maybe your family didn't do that before COVID-19. You didn't have that opportunity. So doing that and helps really set the tone for the day. And breakfast does not by any means need to be a big production. You don't need to, be getting up extra early to making something big and delicious. Like keep it simple, and it's just about the engagement about the food. On the lentils.org link that I gave you guys, there's 10 prep ahead breakfast ideas on their homepage. So these are things that you can prep the night before, which is great. So try new recipes. So this is a great opportunity to prepare healthy home-cooked meals and try out new recipes. Play around with new things. Oh, Joanne, buttered chicken without butter or cream, played with flax meal and tapioca flour, potato flour. Perfect. And experimenting with spices. Great. Try new recipes, experiment in the kitchen. Every time you try something new, even if it doesn't work out, it inspires you to try something new again, to adapt it. My husband makes this phenomenal tomato sauce saute. It's actually the one that I made last night, and I've tried 3 times to make it. And one time there was too much cumin, the other time it was just really off, and yesterday I did it, but I didn't give up. I was trying something new. So try something new and try something fun. So enjoy your meal as a family. So create a sacred time and space around your meal, right? Create an ambiance where you guys can relax together, connect over food, set that time, set that schedule. If you're by yourself, set that schedule for yourself, as a time to completely unwind, enjoy your food, and then get back at whatever you wanted to do. So teach your kids to cook. This is a great time to be teaching your kids to cook. Any time is great. Food skills are truly life skills. Truly, truly, truly. The skills that come with cooking, being able to modify recipes, change the portion size, roll over meal, these are truly life skills. Fortunately, now we're going several generations with no food skills being passed on. So teach your kids how to cook. We're often good with teaching kids baking, but teaching them, your favorite meals is also great. My friend's husband, he had a family of 4. There's 4 of them. And each night of the week, one of them had to cook dinner, right? So he's a phenomenal cook, right? So engaging your kids into meal planning, meal prepping, maybe getting them to tag along in your pantry basics, seeing what kind of food you want, organizing your pantry and things like that. So next is extending your mealtime. So extend your mealtime to 20 minutes at least. So slow down the eating rate. Remember, it can take up to 20 minutes for your brain to get the signal that fullness has registered, right? So give yourself that time. I was eating a meal with someone, won't name names. They devoured the plate within 5 minutes, not in a mindful manner, and then got up to have the same portion again. I was like, well, of course you're not satisfied. You weren't paying attention to the meal. You ate it within 5 minutes. So giving yourself time to enjoy the meal. We may have lost touch with our hunger and fullness cues, but, getting back in touch with them. What does eating till 80% feel like, right? Eating to the point where you're satisfied. You could eat more, but you don't because you are satisfied. I'm playing with that. And that really ties into the portion control, right? Being mindful of how much you're putting on your plate. A lot of people grew up that they had to clean their plate, right? We don't waste food here, so make sure you eat everything off your plate. So remember, you can always get more. People are very likely to finish whatever is on their plate. So yeah. So not like in training when you have 5 minutes to eat lunch and run. No, have the time, take the time. So be a mindful eater. Again, this ties into what we're just talking. Ask yourself, why are you eating? Assess your reason for eating. Is it hunger? Physical hunger? Is it boredom? Stress? Is it emotional? Physical? Is it a habit? So question why you're eating. Maybe getting up and looking in the pantry for something to eat doesn't necessarily mean you want something. Maybe it just means that you need to take a break. You need to step out for 5 minutes, get some fresh air, take a little walk, and give yourself that break. Sit at the table to eat your meals. Avoid standing up or doing it in front of the TV. Enjoy the food experience. Consider the source. So, did you put the meal together? Did somebody have to farm the meal or farm the food? Think about that and give thanks. Someone took time and their love and their care to create a meal for you, or maybe you cooked it for yourself. So, taking a second to consider that. And of course, don't rush. And stay hydrated. You can become just as dehydrating sitting at home working in your office as you can from exercising. Making sure we're not confusing the signal of thirst with the signal of hunger. And variety, the spice of life. Have variety in what you eat. We saw the lentils, legumes, beans, and all those things, how versatile they can be. So play around with that. A lot of you guys are sharing in the comments some of the great things that you guys are cooking, right? So learn from each other, try new things, and make sure you enjoy your food. Nobody wants to eat food no matter how healthy it is if it doesn't taste good. So spice it up. Like I said, food skills are life skills. Being able to take something that has no flavor and turn into something delicious through spices and through cooking methods is a phenomenal skill set. Okay, so now we're going to wind it down, kind of summarize some key points here. So eat well. Eat food that makes you feel good, that nourishes your mind, body, and soul. Have a variety. Think of the Canada Food Guide that I showed you the first session and the second, and at the beginning of today. You see the variety. Think back to the immunity when I was highlighting those nutrients and all the different foods that they were coming from, how they support you, right? Your new routine. So develop your new normal. Make a schedule, stick to it. Show yourself some self-compassion with developing these new habits and learning. You're here, so you want to try something new. So give yourself a pat on the back for that and engage, try new things. So move. Myself, I underestimated how much I was actually still moving while going into the office to work. From the parking lot, getting up to make a coffee, taking a break and just doing some laps around the building. I was actually moving much more than I thought that I do here, even if I do exercise once a day. So get up and move. My neighbor has a out by 4 rule. So her family, every day, they're out for the walk before 4, at least. Okay? And social connection. We're humans, we're hardwired for social connection. So connect with others in a meaningful way. Connect with your family. Take time to connect. These are stressful times for sure, but take time to connect. And be intentional in what you want your new routine to look like. How do you want when it comes to sleep, physical activity, eating, self-care? Be intentional. What do you want it to look like? How do you want to feel? And how can you make an action plan to work towards that? So we're going to wrap up here. I got some resources. If you have any questions, put them in. And then just to wrap up, I have two more questions, two more poll questions. I'd appreciate if you guys can hang around and answer those. So resources for you guys, for our CAF community, we have Canadian Force Member Assistance Program. So this is for members and their families, short-term counseling, Canada's Suicide Hotline. For information on COVID-19, go to canada.ca/coronavirus. Family Information Line, Sexual Misconduct Response Center. This is a 24-hour line you can access. Kids Help Phone number and Text Connect. And CMPARC, so Administrative Response Center for questions around policies. There's a number and an email for that. So I want to thank you all so much for attending and your engagement. It's my pleasure to be here for you guys. Thank you so much for the advice of questioning why I'm eating. Yeah, for sure. And I think it's really important. Sometimes we kind of go over that quickly, like why am I eating? But really engaging. Ask yourself, like I feel in my body I want something to eat. A good question to ask yourself, is it coming like more from the chest? Is it coming from your stomach? Is it kind of more of your mind, or is it coming from your mouth? Sometimes we want something, something sweet in our mouth, where we're kind of looking. So asking yourself that question is great. I'm really glad you found that beneficial. So 2 more poll questions. And these answers aren't made visible for you guys. I feel I can apply what I've learned today in my daily living. Okay, and second question, thank you for answering. How satisfied are you with the Demio platform? So this is just the platform that we're using today. Okay, perfect. Thank you all so much for attending and your engagement. I wish you all the best, lots of health. And thank you all for attending. Thank you all for your comments. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Have a great day. Thank you all again. Take care. I'll be closing the session now. Thank you so much. Bye.